When I first saw John, and of course I was then still a minor coming up, peeping at the window, I was very impressed by his charm, by his personality, because he's really, at least what I thought at that moment, being very English, you know, like Inspector Morse. He's a bit like that, but you know he has a golden heart.
Right from the beginning of my time in PD, he was clearly someone from the Cardiff group to talk to. I have to say, the next thing he did was not give me a job.
The thing that I remember most about John is his enthusiasm for rugby.
And I thought he was English, but then I found out he was not English at all, he was Welsh.
He's one of the great drivers of PD, both in research and also in clinical practice. But of course, I think most important from my point of view is that he is one of the 5 founding fathers of EuroPD back in 1994. And that is at the same time also the big area of battle between the two of us, because up to now he contests that actually Berlin 94 was the first EuroPD meeting, and he claims it was a small meeting held 2 years before in London. I think that fight will continue even now that he has stepped down from the Council of EuroPD. But John, if you hear me now, it was in Berlin 94.
I remember mostly, of course, the preparation leading to the 5th EuroPD meeting that took place in my city, Brussels. I was the local president at the time, and we had a few meetings which were very, very nice. He was always a very active gentleman pushing for his ideas, which was not always easy, but he's very easygoing, I would say. You hear him in a conversation, but you need to adapt to his style.
He was one of the original visionaries that made it happen, and you know, I feel very fortunate to have been invited into this group well after it was established. It was a vision that they had more than 20 years ago, I think now, and look what it's grown into. It's grown into a vibrant meeting. I think it's still recognised as the most progressive scientific meeting that it goes on in the PD community.
But also the huge work that he's done with peritoneal biopsies and the enthusiasm that he's shown towards PD.
But then I found out that he was very fond about German cars. And I said, wait a minute, an English guy being fond of German cars, this must be wrong, there is something wrong with it. But even that is an aspect of John, because he's always very honest, he's always very straight, and if he thinks something, he will tell you without any taking into account misconceptions or prejudice about the concept. And I think that's what makes John John, and what makes him very important in the concept of EuroPD, that we will not go for politics, that we will go for science and for PD. Point.